Pornography. It's really the silent killer of marriages. This video is going to be the first video in what I feel the Lord leading me to do in making a series. And these videos are going to be targeted towards the wives of the husbands who have this addiction. This is a very tough subject to talk about and is very taboo to talk about in the church. But the Lord has given me a testimony and the faith and the courage to stand up and speak about it. My husband and I, we have been married just about 16 years. And yes, this was something that we dealt with in our marriage. Thank God now we walk in a redemption story. My husband has been clean for several years now, and we have really worked on our marriage and built it up. And I hope this encourages you that you can walk in this same story. Now, just because we have a redemption story and my husband's been clean doesn't mean that he still struggles, because it is an addiction after all. So this is something that we constantly have to battle and set up safeguards for our marriage. But the first several years of our marriage was absolute chaos. He brought his pornography addiction that started way before me, and I brought anger that I brought in from the way I grew up. That together became an explosive compound. Every time I would find out that he has fallen short and gave into his addiction, I would get angry and I would get so mad at him, which in turn caused him to turn away from me and turn to his addiction. And so it was a vicious cycle. It took me many years to first realize his addiction was not my fault. What he had came before we even met. Just because my husband had this addiction didn't mean he didn't love me. He loved me so much. And probably at that time, he loved me more than I loved him, because I was just so angry at him all the time. Another thing I had to learn is it's okay for you to speak about this with someone you trust. I felt so alone and trapped and confined into this small box that no one is going to understand what I'm going through, or they're going to judge me, or they're going to look badly on my husband. Last thing I wanted was someone to look badly on my husband or me, because if I told someone, they may think that it was my fault, and I know it's not my fault. Speaking to someone that you trust is so important, because even though this is your husband's addiction, it affects you deeply, because you don't think you're enough in your husband's eyes. You don't think you're beautiful enough in your husband's eyes. You don't think you please him enough. That's lies from the enemy trying to divide, because an addiction goes so much deeper than the way he feels about you. So for the longest time, I didn't speak to anybody, and I felt alone, trapped. And that was the worst thing I did, because I needed help. I needed someone to talk to and vent to and get advice from. So if you're looking for permission, it is okay for you to go talk to somebody about your husband's addiction and how it's affecting you. Whether it be a friend, a counselor, a pastor, someone that you trust deeply. Because your husband's addiction causes deep wounds that we feel like we're never going to heal from. And having that trusted confidant is a big help. And knowing someone is there for you to run to is just an amazing feeling. You do not need your husband's permission to go and talk about this to somebody. For me, I didn't ask my husband's permission to talk about it to somebody. But I did ask his permission to make this video, because I don't want to do something that is going to cause him to stumble. And if I put this out there when he was not ready for this to be out there, it could have brought up all sorts of issues again. I would encourage you, do not speak about it publicly until you and your husband have healed separately and have healed together. One thing I would encourage you to do is help him seek help. But do not push him. He has to be ready to get that help. And the best thing that you can do if he's not ready is get on your knees and pray. Actually, you should be getting on your knees and praying right now. You need to be praying for one, yourself first. You need to be praying for a heart of forgiveness. You need to be praying that the Lord will help heal you and give you a fresh new view of your husband without the pornography. And then you need to pray for your husband. Pray that God sends people into his life that can speak into it and help him, that he feels comfortable talking about it with, that he could get accountability with. However, if you push him, you are just pushing him farther and farther away from his redemption story. Do not be the nagging wife. Pray for him. God will work on him. There is so much power in prayer, and my whole marriage is proof of that. And so I encourage you to bring it up to him in a way that is not pushy. It's good to put up safeguards. There are programs like Covenant Eyes and other things out there that you can put on your computers, but those only help to the extent of what is on a screen. And someone who is addicted will find ways around it. Yes, it's good to have. We had it for a little while, but if you aren't going to the root cause of it and digging it up at the roots, it's going to keep growing back no matter how many safeguards you put in place. The next thing is encourage him to pray about someone he can approach about it, that can be his accountability person. I'm sorry, but you cannot be his accountability partner on this. He needs somebody outside the marriage to help him get through this. He needs someone that he could talk to about his struggles, just like you need someone to talk to. Your husband can't be that person for you, and you can't be that person for him. Encourage him to do that. Do not keep bringing it up every time you see him. Did you find someone yet? Just pray for him. Give it to him to take care of, because this is his addiction to fix, not yours. And lastly, for this video, I want you to know that this is part of your testimony. And you need to face this head on, knowing that God is going to bring light on the other side. That this deep, dark pit of hell that you're in right now will come to an end if you are seeking God and how to get through this for you and your husband. It may hurt so much right now, but there is someone on the other side of this that is waiting to hear your testimony, waiting to know that it's okay, that they're going to have a testimony soon, and you can help them walk out the steps of getting there. If this is something that you struggle with in your marriage, go down to the comments and type amen. And I will personally be praying for you and your husband. You don't have to give me any details or put a heart emoji. I don't care. Every single day, be praying for your marriage, because this is not a battle you can fight alone. And I will help guide you and encourage you along the way to let you know that this is not a lonely road. There are thousands, if not millions of us that deal with this, because this is a prominent issue in the church today. I pray that the shalom of God rests upon your house, and that he can use this to create a redemption story for his glory, and that your marriage can grow and flourish in him. In Jesus' mighty name, amen.